The Colosseum was built for blood. Tens of thousands cheered as lions were released to rip human beings apart. But then something happened that Rome never expected. When Christians were thrown into the arena, they didn't cry. They sang. Imagine standing in that massive arena. The crowd is screaming, waiting for the roar of lions and the cries of the victims. But instead of screams, a hymn rises into the air, voices steady, fearless, filled with peace. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was something spiritual, something Rome couldn't explain. The contrast, death versus joy, fear versus faith, is what makes this moment so shocking and unforgettable. Part 1. A faith Rome couldn't break. The Roman Empire ruled with iron. Its greatest weapon wasn't the sword, it was fear. They told people, obey Rome or die. Christians, however, refused to bow to idols or deny their faith. They wouldn't worship Caesar as a god. To Rome, this was rebellion. So punishments grew brutal. Believers were chained, beaten, set on fire, crucified, and fed to wild beasts. Rome thought, once the people see this, Christianity will disappear forever. But the exact opposite happened. Instead of weakening, the church grew. Instead of hiding, Christians became bolder. Every martyr was like a seed. When one life was taken, 10 more converts appeared. Why? Because the people of Rome could not understand how men, women, and even children walked into death without fear. Some went with smiles, some prayed for their executioners, and many, shockingly, began to sing hymns as the lions charged. That sound, songs instead of screams, shook Rome to its core. It was the sound of a faith fear could not break. Part 2. Hymns stronger than death. For the martyrs, hymns were more than songs. They were weapons of courage and windows into heaven. A hymn reminded them that death was not the end. It was a doorway. The moment the lions tore their bodies, they believed their souls would be embraced by Christ. Singing was their final act of defiance. Rome wanted them to cry, to beg for mercy, to show weakness. But instead, they raised their voices with joy. Every lyric was a declaration. We are not victims. We are victors. Think about it. The Colosseum was Rome's theater of death. It was designed to humiliate Christians. But when they sang, the arena was transformed into something else, a kind of cathedral. Instead of fear echoing through the walls, hymns of praise rose to the heavens. Instead of silence, there was worship. Instead of despair, there was victory. To the Romans, it looked insane. How could anyone rejoice when facing lions? But to the martyrs, it made perfect sense. They weren't singing to the crowd, they were singing to God and to the eternity waiting for them. That is why their hymns were stronger than death. The lions could crush their bodies, but not their song. Part 3. The witness of singing souls. Picture the Colosseum. 50,000 Romans gather, roaring with excitement. They came for entertainment, blood, screams, fear. But what they saw silenced them. As the gates opened and lions ran forward, Christians didn't panic. They sang. Their voices rose above the chaos. Hymns of peace, hope, and heaven. The crowd expected terror. Instead, they saw joy. That confusion shook them to the core. Soldiers who dragged Christians to their death went home disturbed, whispering, "How can they sing like this?" Ordinary citizens, watching with their families, found themselves haunted by the memory. Some even sought baptism, realizing there must be truth in a faith that gives such courage. The martyrs never preached long sermons. They didn't argue with Rome. They simply sang, and their voices converted hearts more powerfully than any words. The Colosseum, built as Rome's stage of power, became the stage of Christianity's greatest witness. Part 4. Music as heaven's language for the martyrs. Hymns weren't ordinary songs. They were a way of touching heaven. Singing reminded them that Christ had already conquered death. His resurrection was their guarantee that death was only a shadow, not an end. In that moment, their voices joined the choirs of angels. What seemed like defeat to Rome was, in their eyes, a wedding feast with Christ. The arena, filled with wild beasts, blood and dust, turned in their hearts into a cathedral of worship. Even the lions, symbols of terror, became instruments of their final victory. This is why hymns were called the language of heaven. Each note lifted their souls beyond the arena, beyond Rome, straight into eternity. To the Romans, it looked insane, but to the Christians, it was the greatest triumph, their last breath on earth becoming their first note in heaven. Part 5. The lesson for us today. We may not stand in the Colosseum, but every one of us faces trials, struggles, and fears. Some face sickness, some face betrayal, some face loneliness. In those moments, the martyrs whisper to us across time, "Don't let suffering steal your song." A hymn is not just music. It is a prayer, a weapon, a reminder of heaven when earth feels unbearable. When we sing, even through pain, we share in the same courage that lit up the Colosseum. The martyrs show us joy is possible even in suffering. Faith is strongest when it sings in the darkest hours. Call to heart and action. My brothers and sisters, the martyrs are not silent. Their hymns still echo today, asking us, when trials come, will you sing or will you fall into despair? I want to hear from you. What hymn, what prayer gives you strength in your darkest moments? Write it in the comments, because your words might give hope to someone else watching. And if this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Word of the Catholic. Together, let us keep alive the voices that once sang louder than death itself.